All of the parts of Homer's Iliad, all the different things that you can find about it, you'd end up with a pile of scroll, paper, whatever it's written on, that's roughly about 4 foot. If you were to pile up all of the writings, pieces, findings, translations, etc., of the Bible, any guesses at where the height of that would... No? It's 4 kilometres high. 4 kilometres.
In the Bible, there's 24% of all the verses in the Bible contain prophecy. That's just unique. Nearly a quarter of all the Bible contains prophecies. And we have seen so many of them, that thousands upon thousands fulfilled. That's what Hebrews tells us, that God took the invisible and made it into the visible. So he took gases. Everything was gas. All gases. And he made then a universe. He created a universe out of gases. And look at everything that's made. It's made out of gases. So he took the invisible and said, now, there's the visible.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Tectonic Ministries, the death and resurrection of our world. I'm Norton Jared. We've got Dan Murphy here. We've got Mark Johnston as well. We're excited to go over this next little bit with you. We want to dive in at this stage and talk about prophecy. We want to have a look through Daniel 7 as well. But before all that, something that was coming up in the break just now, we were having a little bit of a chat about, Jesus. Why the Jesus thing? How can we justify that he is sort of who he is and that he has any authority in any of this? What sort of authority does the Bible have? It's fine for us to reference from it, but is it really what we're saying it is? How can we verify or justify? Because every different religion has holy books. Every different religion has their different main person that runs the religion. So why are we, or by what authority do we claim that Jesus is the most important religious figure, and why is the Bible the most important figure? And I want to start off with a little fact that I found out a little while ago. Homer's Iliad, we may or may not know. I don't know too much about it, I'll be honest. But as far as antiquity is concerned, it is one of the most translated pieces within antiquity. If you were to pile up all of the translations and if you were to all of the parts of Homer's Iliad, all the different things that you can find about it, you'd end up with a pile of scroll, paper, whatever it's written on, that's roughly about 4 foot. So, I'm about 6'4", so that'd be about here. No, I'm not really. I'm like 5'8". 5'8" on my tippy toes. But you've got 4 foot. That's a fair bit of translations and writings about this. And at no point do we dispute Homer's Iliad. If you were to pile up all of the writings, pieces, findings, translations, etc., only in antiquity, not translations now, of the Bible, any guesses at where the height of that would... No? It's 4 kilometres high. 4 kilometres, like we said in previous podcasts, over 44 something authors, 66 different books, thousands of different, 65,000 references, 4 kilometres of this information. And yet we want to... Homer's Iliad, there's no question about the and that's the next closest actually to the Bible of pieces of information. We have 4 kilometres high of information from antiquity only, and yet this amazing, holy book is constantly questioned. And I'll throw over to you, Dan, because we're going to have a look at what we believe is a very good indicator of why we believe this book to be so true, which is the amazing prophecies within it.
Yeah, we look at what Norton was just saying. We look at just the prophecies in the Bible. There's 24% of all the verses in the Bible contain prophecy. That's just unique. There's not another book remotely.
No, that's a whole quarter of it.
Nearly a quarter
Yeah.
of all the Bible contains prophecies. And we have seen so many of them, thousands upon thousands, fulfilled. To the letter, no details missed, nothing whatsoever. Particularly the first and second coming of Jesus Christ. There are so many prophecies about his first coming. There are so many prophecies about him and him alone. So that alone, other than its poetry, its uniqueness, it tells us before the universe was started, it tells us into the new heaven and the new earth, describes God's plan from start to end, gives it all this credence, gives it all this strength and verification, vilifying what we read. So therefore it gives us great confidence to speak on this person that had fulfilled so many prophecies. Not one other religious leader. I'd like to show me another religious leader that fulfilled one prophecy from any book, anywhere else. There's none.
Yep.
Tell me one religious leader on the planet that is still alive.
Yeah.
They're all dead. They're all dead, buried, gone. Jesus Christ, attested by hundreds and hundreds of people, is alive, seen and watched go, ascend back to heaven, watched by at least 120 people. We don't know how many were there. All of these incredible. None of his miracles disputed. None of what he did. Dead raisings, feeding the 4,000 and the 5,000 men, and all of these incredible things. There's just no one even measures up slightly. As you say, that 4 foot against 4 kilometres, that's how you have to look at everything, whether we're looking at Buddha, Muhammad, Krishna, Confucius, whatever. I mean, they really are. They're the 4 foot as against the 4 kilometre. So that, as I say, it allows us to have great confidence to be able to do these sermons. And you were speaking a bit about every other book referencing the Bible, where the Bible doesn't reference any other books. No. It doesn't need to.
No.
So...
Yep. And I've heard of those prophecies, Dan, that is it true that it's something like 80% have already come true to the letter, and the only remaining ones speak of the future? So
yes.
The only reason that the other prophecies haven't come true yet is because they're yet to.
Yes, that's right. That's what they believe. I don't think we know. I don't think anyone can judge how many prophecies there are in the Bible. But virtually every major moment that's happened in the history of our world was prophesied in the Bible. And as you say, that I think it's about 18% are all about the return of Jesus Christ, and then through to the millennium, and then through to eternity. So if it's all come through, if 80%'s come true to the letter, you can guarantee the last 18% is going to come true to the letter.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where I suppose God in his brilliance has really, he's miles ahead, and he set it up this way to make everything else look pale in comparison to what he's said and done, and because there's no other religions that have even fulfilled those prophecies or even come close to even doing anything as such. So he already knew that this was going to be the challenge, so he's just made it abundantly clear.
I think what else is another incredible telling argument is when the Bible was written and when the New Testament was being written, all these people were still alive. All of the other scriptures and writings were written after the fact, when no one could dispute it. But this was written when everyone could have their 2 cents worth and dispute it and comment and say, oh no, I was there when there were 5,000 people and I didn't see Jesus feed no one. I was there when this girl was raised from the dead, or this happened or that happened, and No one did.
Mm.
And his resurrection and his resurrected body.
Mm.
And Paul speaks about it. He said, many of these, see, some have died since whilst I'm writing this, but most of them are still alive, that saw the risen Lord.
Mm.
So they're very strong arguments. You go to any court case, it's all on eyewitnesses, eye testimony.
I think too where Jesus stands separate from other religions as well, it's in 1 Timothy 3:16. So interestingly enough, 2 Timothy 3:16 says all scripture is God breathed and it's profitable to rebuke, correct and train in righteousness, so that would be thoroughly equipped for every good work. But in 1 Timothy 3:16 it says, and without controversy, great is the mystery of godliness. God was manifested in the flesh.
Yeah, that's right.
So we say, what's the difference between Jesus and other religions? The difference is Jesus was God.
Yeah.
That's right.
Not a God.
Yeah.
It was God himself, manifested in the flesh, justified in the spirit, seen by angels, preached among the Gentiles, believed on in the world and received up into glory. So we're not just talking about a mere man here, we're talking about the Creator himself becoming a man.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's the mystery of godliness.
Mm.
That's a great mystery, because how could God become a man? But the fact is he did.
Mm. Interesting.
It's powerful. Isn't it?
Now, just quickly on that topic, a question or a rebuttal, I suppose, that might come up is that the Bible only proves itself within itself. What are our rebuttals for that?
Well, even Josephus, who was not a believer, who they believe was the greatest Jewish historian, wrote explicitly about all the things that Jesus did. He wasn't a believer.
Mm.
So he wrote outside the Bible. And many other books speak outside the Bible of Jesus Christ and who he was and what he did. So it's not just the Bible.
Yeah.
And the evidence is just too great when you look at our world and our planet, and you look at, as we talked about before, people that then are godlike. We have this great and wonderful, civilization, societies. People are not a godlike, we've got the mess we've got. So that's an incredible evidence. You take God out of your society, you take good out of your society. So just the eyewitness that we see around us everywhere. The Bible talks about, look at your own body, look at your hand, then try and deny that God, this thing just formed itself. The 30 trillion cells in your body just all got together and decided, I'm going to be part of an eye and I'm going to be part of a tooth. And I mean, the evidence for one creator, one supreme being that is just so far above us is too much. And all the scientists now are saying it is too much. Numerically, geographically, this had to be, there has to be a divine mind that brought all this together. So.
And I also think of the fact that the word Bible itself, we've recognised that it is a single book within itself because of the way it cross-references as well, but like we've mentioned a few times now, that it is written over multiple books. The word Bible itself actually means, biblio is another word for library. So meaning a collection of books. So to disregard the Bible is to disregard the fact that all of the eyewitness accounts have been gathered together in one place for us to have the convenience of. So they were actually put together. So just to take Matthew, Mark, Luke and John, for example, they are 4 eyewitness accounts. Now, no court in the land would disregard 4 eyewitness accounts because they were written down in the same place. Obviously, they were written down separately and then collected for our convenience. So we've got to understand that as well.
Yeah.
And it's impossible for those authors at different timelines to get everything synergistically together. And I've got a verse here that clarifies that. Number one, man is a physical being with a physical papyrus. They have to write down. It's not like God's a spirit. It's not like he has written with his spirit finger with the 10 Commandments. But more to the point, this is not the words of men. This is the words of God. Because look, I'm looking at 2 Peter, because people say, oh, man wrote the Bible. But that's not true, because 2 Peter chapter 1 verse 21 says, for the prophecy came not in olden times by the will of men, but by holy men of God spoke as they were moved by the Holy Spirit. So this is not written by man anyway. This is written by God himself. And I was reminded of John 1:1, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. And even in Genesis it says, in the beginning God created the heavens and earth. And they actually say in the Hebrew, in the beginning, because they say, oh, how is Jesus God? And, how is the Word of God, God and all that. But in the beginning, apparently in the Hebrew language, it's got the Aleph Tav right next to God himself in the first verse of the Bible. Mm. He was with God in the beginning. Mm. The Aleph Tav is the Aleph Bet of the Hebrew language, correct? Mm. So he's the Aleph Tav. He's not the Alpha and Omega. He's the what's the name for the Aleph Bet? He's not the Alpha and Omega. He's the Aleph Bet. So he is the A to the Z. But he was with God right in the beginning. So that clarifies John 1:1 as well, that he was with God. He was God. But I find that interesting.
Yeah. Elohim. 3 or more, 2 or more persons. And Elohim, right through our Bibles, we spoke about this before, it's written just under 300 times. And the most it's written in is in the book of Ezekiel, where God God is referred to as Elohim. And what Ezekiel is saying, and then God refers to himself, his favourite saying is Son of Man. So what the book of Ezekiel is telling us is, here is God, 3 in 1, will one day become Son of Man. God, the God, that's what the book of, and you look at the context, and we talk about context, the context behind the book of Ezekiel is this, that one day this part of the Elohim is going to be Son of Man. What did Jesus refer to himself? The Son of Man. So he's taking us back, he's taking the Hebrew mind back to, this is what Ezekiel talked about. And what was the favourite name for Ezekiel and for God in Ezekiel? Elohim. So it made it make all sense. This is where we talked before. The Bible just fits so neatly, completely together. It's this completeness in its book. The Bible, they believe, is written over between 1,500 and 2,000 years because they don't know when the book of Job was written. They believe it's the earliest manuscript that's ever been produced. And yet the book of Job is telling us stuff we're only discovering now, with the Hubble telescope and the microscope. We didn't know any of these things before. Job told us, we think possibly, 4,000 years ago. And he's telling us this stuff. And so this is what I mean. This is why we just know these facts of this book. And that's what we're talking about again before. We want to deal in facts, not, this lies or half lies or whatever there is. But no. What's the facts? And the Bible gives us all the facts.
I'm looking at Romans 1:20. For since the creation of the world, his invisible attributes are clearly seen, being understood, it says, by the things that are made. So creation is the general revelation. That's why man's without excuse. Yeah, because it points everything to a creator. And, that changed everything for me, because when you look at creation, it's undeniable. Like, I remember when I was unsaved and I was up all night on drugs and I didn't believe in God. But I remember as I was sitting at the front porch of my house, I seen a bird fly past. I seen the clouds, when the clouds are just straight across the sky. And I had this thought, and it was, there's got to be someone up there. And that was the first thought I've ever had that there's got to be something up there because of creation. It just pointed to something beyond what we were experiencing here and now, you know? Like, well, there's got to be something out there because it just doesn't make sense otherwise.
No, it doesn't.
Well, I think it's been referenced on this podcast before. I know it's said by a favourite preacher of ours. I know Isaac as well loves hearing from this person, but they're famous for saying to unbelievers, your faith is stronger than my faith. And then the unbeliever is like, no, I have no faith at all. I'm an atheist. And that person then says, no, your faith is way stronger than mine because I believe that something came from something. You believe that something came from nothing, and that takes a lot of faith. And that's like what you were alluding to, is that you can't see all of this and go, oh, that definitely just banged, and then this. Because what banged? You know? So...
What big bang, yeah.
Yeah, like, well, what if things crashed into each other and created a big bang, what crashed into each other to make a big bang? Doesn't make sense. You have to at some point assume there's nothing, and then from nothing, just something. That takes a lot of faith.
Yeah.
It's harder for me to believe than to believe that there's someone in control.
Yeah.
That's what Hebrews tells us, that God took the invisible and made it into the visible. So he took gases. Everything was gas. You know, all gases. And he made then a universe. He created a universe out of gases. And look at everything that's made. It's made out of gases. So he took the invisible and said, now, there's the visible. That takes a creator.
Definitely.
You know, that just can't... You can't get two gases going together and go, well, let's make a...
Yeah.
It's impossible.
It's interesting too, because Adam means red earth, and they say, and this is just what they're saying out there, is that every mineral that is in the human body, even though we didn't get made from the dust, but the fact that Adam did, they say that every mineral that is in us is actually in the dirt.
Yeah, that's right.
Isn't that crazy?
And you look at everything that is manufactured or made or produced on this planet, where's it come from?
The earth.
The earth. That plant. You know, everything. Your motor car. Where did it all come from? The planes we fly in. That. Everything comes from the earth. So God gave it to us all. He knew what we would do. And yet we sit there with our intelligence and our this and our that, and we're now in the process of making this thing that's going to be more intelligent than all of us put together. And that's why God has to come back. That's why Jesus has to come back, just to save us from ourselves and our stupidity.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting too, because since the creation of the world, invisible attributes, verse 21 says they professed to be wise, and yet they became fools. And the word fools there is a Greek word moronos. It actually means you're morons. And it also says you're without an excuse. At the end of that creation verse, right? You're without excuse. And in the Greek it means you're without an answer. Don't even reply. You don't have the answer. And they profess to be wise. He goes, you're absolute morons. You wouldn't have a clue what you're talking about. Isn't that interesting? I'm glad the Word of God said it. I didn't say it.
Yeah.
It's not like I go around telling everyone they're morons.